Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the PVM focused Ultimate Ironman account. In this episode, we'll be focusing on getting the fire cape, and then we'll be heading back to Barrows to test our luck on getting some of the gear that we need to go forward in the account. Just as a reminder, a lot of the audio and video may not be well organized or flow well in the early clips of this account, but I hope you enjoy the progress anyways. So I bought a bolt pouch and I'm not entirely sure how this operates. I see that now there's an updated interface and you can see your currently equipped ammo, and I think you can drop this into, different slots and basically store it there or make it active or empty. And so I'm not sure what this is. I'm assuming this is the extra ammo, but what I don't understand is, does this just need to be in my inventory at all times? And if that's the case, it's not necessarily a bad option for storing multiple types of bolts. However, I don't know if I'll need to. I was thinking maybe if this was equipable and I could store all the bolts I need in it, that I actually could just equip this and save myself a ton of inventory and bag space, because currently I'm actually holding my adamant bolts in here. But I don't think it will work like that as I'm seeing right now. So I definitely am going to use this for the fight caves because I don't want to use all my runite bolts through the fight caves. In fact, I don't think this would be enough bolts anyways. I probably am going to guess I'm going to need between 8 and 900 total. So I'm going to use broad bolts for a lot of the early stages of the cave, and then my runite bolts for when it gets later on against the mages. So I figured we're going to get our inventory set up and we will go from there. Alright, so we just bought our Ava's accumulator, we got that ready, and honestly our gear setup is looking just about complete. Now the one thing I think I'm going to be swapping is I'm going to actually try and not use the black mask, and I might use a proselyte helmet, and this will give me +4 more prayer, which will actually put me at 17, and I think that this would be good enough for the fight caves with my limited inventory. So I've dropped over some items and I've rearranged my bag. So this is what it's currently looking like. We actually have 4 spaces here, even after putting everything in. And honestly, space-wise, we're looking okay. I think I'm going to put these back in the bag since I don't really need the space right now. I'm going to probably be clearing the bag out again anyways, because I'm going to need my dragon scimitar and the black mask after this. So yeah, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to put these in, and we're going to pretty much have space for what we need. I'm going to make this one last pot into prayer pots, and then we're going to give it a try. So I figured I would, well, first of all, I'll show my inventory. This is kind of what I decided to go in with in the fight caves. I think 18 prayer bonus, my range bonus, and my defense bonuses are pretty good, and I think I'll be totally fine. I ended up just using my adamant bolts. I realized I'm not going to have a major use for them at this stage of the account. And then I have my runite bolts for some of the harder waves where I'm going to need to use them to kill things quicker. So I want to explain the airplane method because it doesn't seem like this is really brought up a lot when doing the fight caves for people who are doing it their first time. So the airplane method is named because of this airplane you see on the floor here. And what this airplane does is it signals the safe zone for you to safe spot certain enemies in the fight caves. So you can see I've kind of drawn out the markers here, and you can actually see that these line up with the walls. So your ultimate safe spot is right here. When you're standing here, you can't be hit by monsters that are stuck on the wall, that are bigger. Well, I should say you can't be hit by any monster here. Now, obviously things that spawn in the center and back there can come and hit you. So what you do is based on the wave, which you can have up, the information is, on the wiki, you can know like what wave is happening. Is there going to be a range or a mage? In the beginning, it's always range, and then obviously later on it's mage. So you'll just start the wave praying mage, and you'll see if you get hit. Now, you'll know pretty quickly, maybe within 5 to 10 seconds of the wave starting, whether or not a mage has obviously spawned in front of you or further back and is going to hit you pretty soon. So after about 5 to 10 seconds, if you don't get hit by a mage attack and you don't hear it, what you can do is you can kill anything else that spawns here and then stand on this square. This square in particular will keep you safe. So what you can do is mark the tiles as I have here, and what these essentially mean is that certain monsters will come when you step on each tile. So for example, if I step on this tile, a single tile mob, the level 22s, will come if they're at this edge of the Italy rock. And if they're not, nothing will happen. So I'm currently on wave 14, wave 13, which is 90 and 245s. So a 45, since it's 2 squares big, would actually show up here. And as you can see, it's walking towards me now. So whenever you lure one of them, this is your safe zone back here. Essentially, you can imagine it as a box, or you could draw it out with tile markers. And this is the complete safe zone where no mob will be able to run around the rocks and kill you, unless you purposefully lure it like I just did right now. So we pulled one out, and as you can see, only one popped out. So the 90 is gonna spawn, or not spawn, but will walk towards you when you walk out to the 3rd tile. And then the 180 on the 4th tile, and the 360 on the 5th tile. So you can do this to get them to come out, and then after you've done that, you can run backwards and pull them around the corner if you need to. So there wasn't any audio for this clip, but this was pretty wild. We actually ended up struggling at Jad because we didn't have any food left, and I kind of underestimated how much damage the healers would do. I hadn't really done a fire cape on a main account in a long time, and I always treated them as a pure, and I would get destroyed by them very quickly. But I was thinking as a main, having a little bit of defense, I'd be able to tank them out, but I realized very quickly I was going to die to them, so I made a random play to run underneath Jad to lure them through, and I actually tanked a melee Jad hit for a 4, and somehow I clutched out the fire cape, which is pretty crazy. I thought I was dead for sure, but yeah, we actually got it done on our first attempt. We actually clutched it out and tanked a melee hit from Jad for 4 HP. Actually, such an iconic run on this account. And honestly, I think this shows exactly why I made this account, which is really for the purpose of showing that, you can do PVM, and, you can do so many things in this game with such a limited inventory. And I think this is actually a perfect way to show that. I did make plenty of mistakes. I messed it up so many times. I had very little prayer, and yet, even with not a full inventory, I made it through. I survived, and I got the fire cape. And this is awesome. This is such a big milestone on this account, and it doesn't seem like it is, but really the fire cape is such an integral part of, RuneScape in general, and to have it on an Ultimate Ironman, to say that I achieved this, and really achieved it at such an early stage of the account, in my opinion, I think this is just awesome. I'm just so, I couldn't believe that I actually tanked a hit from Jad. I watched him melee me. I was a little too slow on running through him when he casted his mage attack, and I started to panic a little bit on the healers, but in the end, we clutched it up, and we ended up making it straight through. And now that we've successfully achieved the fire cape, we can head back to Barrows to hopefully get some items and upgrade our gear. Well, looks like we got another item. Not quite the item that I was hoping for, but an item nonetheless. Aram's robe top. That is item number 5, I believe. And yeah, I'm gonna have to think about what we're gonna do with the Aram's robe top, because Honestly, not really super useful, I think, at least not in this stage of the account. It's not a bad item at all. If I somehow get the bottom, I think I'll probably for sure be holding on to both of these. But, you know, we're going to see. This is not really what I'm here for, Barrows. I would eventually like to get these, but I was not kind of hoping to have these right now because this is essentially going to hold up a permanent spot in my inventory. And I have room right now. It's not really a big deal, but it really wasn't something I was expecting to have. But here it is. And yeah, we're going to go put it in the looting bag and get right back to Barrows.